Okay everyone, I'm gonna finish explaining example 2, or I'm gonna go over it in case some of you needed some extra help with this one. So right here we're trying to find the inverse of this matrix, and if we remember, we can start by using the equation AX equals I. So we know that anytime that we multiply a matrix times its inverse, we're gonna get the identity matrix. So then to find the inverse of this matrix, if we multiply it times some other inverse, then we're going to get the identity matrix. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take A and we're going to multiply it times some matrix, and we don't know what it is now, so we're just going to call it X. Now I know that we were using, I'm going to put it on the side right here, I know that we were using X sub 1 1, X sub 1 2, X sub 2 1, X sub 2 2. So if you want to use this, that's okay, but I did go ahead and say that if we wanted to use variables other than these, we can use that to make it a little easier for us to work with. So instead of those, we can use A, B, C, D. This is the same thing. So let me put this on the side here. So this is the same thing, we're just using different variables, and we're actually moving in this direction. For the next section, we'll be talking about these right here. So let's just go ahead and work with these. Now this is going to be equal to the identity matrix, which is 1 0 0 1. So if we go ahead and solve for X, then we're going to need to multiply these two first, and we're going to get 1A plus 4C, and then over here we're going to get 1B plus 4D. Over here we're going to get negative 1A minus 3C, and then over here we're going to get negative 1B minus 3D. So we have this matrix now when we multiply these two, and this is equal to 1 0 0 1. And now we can make the entries equal to each other, since we know that when two matrices are equal, we can make their entries equal. So now we have 1A plus 4C equals 1, negative 1A minus 3C equals 0, and then we have, so this is one system, then my other system is going to be 1B plus 4D equals 0, negative 1B minus 3D equals 1. And now I'm going to go ahead and solve, this system of equations. So right here the A's are eliminated, so and these we get 1C. So right here we have C equals 1, and if I plug it back in, I'm gonna get 4, subtract 4 from both sides, we're gonna get A equals negative 3. On this side we get the B's eliminate, D's, we're left with 1D equals 1, so D equals 1, and if we plug it back in, we're gonna get 4, subtract that, we're gonna get B equals negative 4. And now we can go ahead and plug these back into our unknown matrix, and we have found our inverse. So X is really our inverse of A, and we found that that is negative 3, negative 4, 1, 1. And that is our inverse matrix right here. So if we go ahead and check in our calculator, if we go to matrix, let's go ahead and go edit 2 by 2, and we're gonna enter negative 3, negative 4, oops, let me go ahead and clear that. Let's enter the original one, so 1, 4, -1, -3. And now if we go to the quit screen, let's go ahead and we're gonna enter matrix A, press the inverse button, which is right here, and now we calculate the inverse of A, and notice how it gives us -3, -4, 1, and 1. So that's what we got over here. So this is the correct matrix, and you can see that we can use the calculator, but I wanted you guys to kind of just see where it comes from. So now we're gonna go over to our next example, which is example 3. So we're not gonna be, we can go about the same, you know, we can use the same idea to find the inverse matrix for A, but at this point we're just gonna go ahead and work with the calculator. So if we go ahead and enter it into the calculator, I'm gonna enter it into A as well. So 3 by 3. So I'm gonna enter 1, -1, 0, 1, 0, -1, 6, -2, -3. So there are entries, and now I'm gonna go to the quit screen. I'm gonna enter matrix A and calculate the inverse of that, and we get -2, -3, 1, and so forth. So the inverse for this matrix is equal to -2, -3, 1, -3, -3, 1, -2, -4, 1. And using the calculator, this is our matrix, our inverse for matrix A. Okay, and now we go over to finding the inverse of a 2 by 2 matrix. So the next thing I want to talk about is, we're going to go ahead and, oops, let me go ahead and scratch that out. This is going to be the inverse of a 2 by 2 matrix. So there's a formula for finding the inverse of a 2 by 2 matrix, and we're going to talk about that formula right now. This formula only works for a 2 by 2 matrix, so keep that in mind as we go through this. So if you have a matrix A, and let's say that the entries are A, B, C, D, then we can find the inverse of this matrix using the following formula. So the formula is, to find the inverse of A, we can use 1 over AD minus BC. So this we can find, and then we can multiply it times D negative B minus C A. So what this means is that the D and the A are going to need to be switched, and the C and the B are going to need to be negated. So whatever these numbers are for A, B, C, and D, you're going to have to switch the D and the A and negate the C and the B. And then we're going to calculate this. So make sure that on the bottom here, on the denominator, we can't get a 0. So if we do get a 0, that means that there's no inverse for this matrix. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and look at an example on using this formula. So this is going to be the formula for matrix, or for inverse of matrix A. Matrix A. Okay, so let's look at an example here. Example 4. All right, and then example 4 here, we have the matrix. So let's say find inverse of A. which is 3, -1, -2, 2. So in order to find the inverse of this matrix, we can use this formula because we have a 2 by 2. So we're gonna go ahead and calculate the matrix. So matrix inverse matrix A is gonna be equal to 1 over. So we have A, which is like our 3, times D, which is like our 2. So we have 3 times 2 minus B times C, which is -2 times -1. So we're gonna have B is gonna be our -1 times -2, and then we're gonna multiply that times the matrix D, -B, -C, A. So notice how we're gonna change these numbers around in this form. So now instead of the 3 and the 2 being here, we're gonna flip them. So now it's the 2 and the 3 is down here, and then we're gonna negate the 2 numbers right here. So now instead of -2, we're gonna have +2, and instead of -1, we're gonna have +1. So now we multiply this out. So right here on the bottom we get 6 minus 2, so that's gonna be 1 over 4. And we're gonna need to multiply this scalar times our matrix, so we're gonna end up getting 1/2, 1/4, and then we get 1/2 and 3/4. Okay, and here is our final answer. So our inverse matrix of A is 1/2, 1/4, 1/2, 3/4. So this is how we apply our formula, and this formula only works for a 2 by 2 matrix, so just remember that. Okay, and then I believe, let me see, the last thing is the homework. So I'll be putting up your homework on Canvas in just a bit, so hopefully this video will help you with that.